tell you what, I really don't understand why I don't have more subscribers on my YouTube channel. All I want out of life is to be able to get about, I don't know, maybe 700,000 more subscribers so that I can then become YouTube rich and I can go on some wild fucking frivolous binge and be not seen for 9 months until I come back and try to reclaim some money and some prestige and some clout. And then, of course, I'll fall by the wayside and somebody will make money on a YouTube channel doing a whatever happened to the American Everyman video. And that'll be my whole cycle. That's what I want to do. Apparently, that's what happens on YouTube. And it happens to lesser people than me and better people than me, so I can't see why I don't take off on YouTube. So you guys work on that for me, would you please? How y'all doing? I am Scott. That down there is Bo. There is no co-pilot in the co-pilot seat that I know of. I look very red, and I look very red because I haven't done this. I shuffle over there to turn the light on. How are we doing? That looks a little better. I still look red, but I don't give a crap. How are we doing? Today is the 30th day of April, 2022. It is bright and early on a Saturday morning. This is my second video today. There's the first one I've made today. I have, however, in preparation for this, placed several of my older articles on my Nomadic Everyman page, as well as my Substack American Everyman page, my Nomadic Everyman page on BitChute. Here's the video I made this morning, talking about that idiot Jackson Hinkle, that idiot fucking grifter Jackson Hinkle. It really is quite simple. You see the image I put together a long time ago with my logo up there? It used to say the anti-war left saves the world, and there's a line through it just says left saves the world. I put fake because that's what we're talking about now. Real liberals do not stand with Nazis. I told them it's not a new thing. In the video, good video, go watch it. However, I put this up on my Substack. Neoliberalization of America accelerating under fascist Obama. Archived from February 14th, 2011. Obama executive order to begin neoliberal assault on regulation. Archived from January 2011. Ron Paul advocates demolition of Social Security. It's a neoliberal economic agenda item. December 2010. Like water to wine, the miracle of changing neoliberalism into populism. It's a very big fucking deal. That's a quote, by the way. March 24th, 2010. And of course, birth of the official Neoliberal Party of America. That's December 13th, 2010. All of these, my Substack is free. No donations required, no monthly payment required. Also free is my nomadicEveryman.blogspot.com website, where all of this stuff is also here. You hear me talk about neoliberalism a lot. You also hear me say that people have deliberately, in the media and in various astroturf movements and in the alt media, they have deliberately misdefined neoliberalism. Tucker Carlson is going to do the theme of this video of his that he did last night, this segment he did last night, was neoliberalism is dead. And he is going to go on to misdefine neoliberalism again, but now in a very different sort of way. So I have to, I wasn't going to make a video this morning. I've put up one video and put up 5 fucking articles. That should be enough. But every time I try to get out, fucking Tucker Carlson just pulls me back in. So, here we go.
Of Tucker Carlson. So it was a year ago this month that Joe Biden promised to transform this country, change it more than any president had in over 100 years. He was going to create a new economy through what he called, quote, a once-in-a-generation investment in America, unlike anything we've seen or done since we built the interstate highway system. Wow, that's big. What would it cost? Well, more than $4 trillion. How much is that exactly? Well, it's more than twice the gross domestic product of the entire nation of Canada, and of course most other countries too. At the Washington Post, they suggested that Joe Biden's promise marked, quote, the waning of the neoliberal era. Now, they described neoliberalism as centrist liberalism friendly to Wall Street, when of course it's not exactly that. Neoliberalism is looting with a smokescreen of race and gender politics, so you won't notice that it happened. But the Post told...
Looting with the smokescreen of gender politics, race and gender politics, so you won't know what happened. That, according to Tucker Carlson, is neoliberalism. Now you got 2 opposing wrong definitions of neoliberalism coming from 2 very neoliberal supporting outlets. One being the CIA's Washington Post, and the other, if you don't understand that reference, then look it up, and the other being neoliberal supporting Fox News. So, both of them are wrong. The Biden and the waning of the neoliberal era, talking about the $4 trillion, which he's going to tell you, they say, is just like, the plan for it is like a New Deal. And all the money they put in the New Deal, and of course the New Deal was not neoliberal, the New Deal was regulated market economy. Not socialism, not capitalism, it's regulated market economy. And by the way, from 1934 to 1979, it made the world's first middle class. And people could actually live the decent standard of living with one fucking job in the family. Talk about being family friendly. It was. However, now we have to call that communism. And I'll explain to you why. Let's first go over my bona fides, shall we? Long time ago, I was kicked off of YouTube channel twice, and I was kicked off of my WordPress website, which wasn't a WordPress website by then. It was AmericanEverman.com. But because I used a WordPress format, they thought they had the right to yank my fucking channel. And they did, and I lost a lot of work. I lost 11 years of work. Back then, mostly I wrote. And I wrote a lot in 11 years. One of the things that I wrote most about, you might ask, what did you write most about, Scott? Well, if you take a look at the archives that I have saved, my mother really saved most of it, because she knew at some point in time there would be this moment, and that was very prescient of her. If you take what little I have left, comparatively, and you search just the word neoliberalism, this is what you get. All of these articles either deal directly with neoliberalism or mention neoliberalism in terms of as an explanation for what's happening, and the connections back to it. These are all things that I wrote. And here's the dates. Goes back to 2007, 2009. She didn't save a whole lot from 2007, 2009, but I wrote a lot more than that those years on neoliberalism. Here's 2010, starting at 2011. Scott, that's a lot. That is nothing. This is what I wrote involving one way or another, either directly about neoliberalism or showing you how neoliberalism is corrupting our fucking world all around us. Scott, that's a lot. That is nothing. Let's just speed it up a little bit. Now we're up to 2012. Scott, that's a lot. That's nothing. 14. 15. And it ends at 2016. They wiped out my WordPress website in 2018. You might say, I know a little bit from which I speak. A lot of subject matters you say, well, Scott, you don't know, you're not a goddamn fucking immunologist. Scott, you're not a goddamn battlefield tactician. Yes, true. All these things are true. But I tell you one thing right now. I could write a book about neoliberalism. So, is it either one of those things? No. Why? Washington Post talking about the end of the neoliberal era and I guess a new fucking deal, which they're trying to help push for the $4 trillion. It's not the amount of money that they get to supposedly put people back to work and help rebuild America. It's what you do with it that determines whether or not it is, I don't know, regulated market economy or neoliberalism. Now, according to him, neoliberalism is looting with the cover of racism and gender bias. Somehow they've got that worked into the definition of neoliberalism, according to this guy right here. Let me stop for a second and describe to you what really is neoliberalism. Neoliberalism is contemporarily used to refer to market-oriented reform policies, such as eliminating price controls, deregulating capital markets, lowering trade barriers, and reducing, especially through privatization and austerity, state influence in the economy. Smaller government. Smaller government. People think that Bill Clinton was this wild fucking socialist. Oh, he's a liberal. Bill Clinton campaigned on smaller government. And all of those things, all of them. He even gave in his first State of the Union address, he let everyone know how wonderful he was doing, how well he was doing, reducing the size of government, privatizing shit, lowering trade barriers, deregulation of the capital markets, free trade, unregulated free trade. Bill Clinton was a neoliberal. Just like Reagan, just like Bush, just like Trump, just like Obama, and just like Biden. They are not different, just like Ron Paul. In the mid-20th century, right libertarianism, proponents of anarcho-capitalism and minarchism, co-opted the term libertarian to advocate for laissez-faire capitalism, which is, let it be capitalism, deregulated markets, unrestricted free markets, all of that, and strong private property rights such as land, infrastructure, and natural resources. Natural resources, of course, belonging to some rich oligarch, the John Galts of the world, as opposed to the people who live on top of them. The latter is the dominant form of libertarianism in the United States. Now, where it advocates for civil liberties, natural law, and of course, free market capitalism, and major fucking reversals of the welfare state. We'll talk more about that in a second. Let's go back to Tucker Carlson. I'm going to zip forward to the 8:44 mark, if I can read that with my bad eyes. There we go. How about that? Close enough. 8:45, 8:42. That'll work.
So take 3 steps back. What are we watching here? We're watching the end of neoliberalism and its core plank, the thing it depends upon to survive, which is corporate control over media and hence your brain. They need to control what you think or you will reject them. But increasingly they're not able to because censorship, thank God, is dying. And we can credit to some great extent Elon Musk for that, the richest man in the world. He recently bought Twitter.
I wish you could see pictures of him before the fucking surgeries. It is remarkable. That is a manufactured face. Yes, neoliberalism does depend on the media. They depend on the media to not talk about it, and then when they have to talk about it, to misrepresent it. Now, at least he's not doing what he did for the last 10 years, which was try to tell you that neoliberalism was actually a political ideology, whereas it is not. The neoconservatives, a political ideology, are neocons. It doesn't matter what side they're on, right or left. Hillary Clinton, formerly a Republican and a conservative, is actually a neocon. And she is a neoliberal. The neocon being a political ideology and the neoliberal being an economic one. A long time ago, someone smarter than me said, if you want to control the opposition, lead it. If you want to control the opposition, lead it. Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are not leftists. Barack Obama is not a leftist. Bernie Sanders for a long time was a leftist, but if he had remained a leftist, they would have kicked him out of the House, like they did Cynthia McKinney, early form of Alan Grayson, and of course Dennis Kucinich, and many others. Joe Crowley for being one. Joe Crowley is down in. Crowley was AOC's opposition. Anyway, they get rid of fucking real leftists in Congress. What they did with Bernie Sanders was they gave him a raise. They allowed him to move into the fucking Senate. That's how you know that somebody's not really opposition, like, say, Ron Paul or Rand Paul. Okay? Little tidbit there for you. Here's the point. So if you want to control the opposition, you lead it. You put people in places and you say, this is what this person is, when actually that person is not that. That person is a conservative pretending to be a liberal or a Democrat, so you can win by moving the party further to the right. That's how Bill Clinton said he's got Barack Obama said he says he's pragmatic because he's not going to be too far left. He's going to move further to the right. That's what they do. They aren't real. They are neoliberal. His praise of Elon Musk is, first of all, in this regard, not in the slightest bit justified. Elon Musk tweeted just April 26 by free speech in quotation marks. I mean that which makes law, that which makes the law. That which makes the law, he's an idiot or he's fucking drunk or high. I am against censorship that goes far beyond the law. If people want less free speech, they will ask government to pass laws to that effect. Therefore, going beyond the law is contrary to the will of the people, going beyond the law. So he knows that there are laws right now out there ready to be voted on that will allow for more censorship. And he's saying, right off the bat, I will continue with that as per the law, so as not to lose his $44 billion investment. So he will continue with the censorship, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. And he knows that they're about to pass into law, more censorship. Something Barack Obama was just talking about 2 days before he fucking sent this tweet out. He's not going to stop censorship. John Galt, the new John Galt, sunglasses and all, fucking Botox injections and all, hair transplants and all, is not going to stop censorship. You're not going to look to an oligarch who made his money via neoliberal economic ideology to save us from neoliberalism. He is a neoliberal. Let me get back to what he said about the Washington Post, because I forgot to mention this. And, by the way, the whole point of him talking about neoliberalism now. Do you know who first said, and I covered this a long time ago in one of those many articles, about 5 years ago. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, who, by the way, look, we hate China, we hate Russia, we hate Venezuela, we hate Iran, we hate all of these countries because they don't allow us to come in there and neoliberalize them. And when we regime change a country, one of the first things we do is we take over their central bank system, we privatize their central bank system, get it in line with our privatized central bank, what they call independent. And then we set forth to open up the markets for our hot money speculators like George Soros, like Elon Musk, and others, to come in there and rape the fucking country. We shut down the agricultural base, like Bill Clinton did in Haiti, when they neoliberalized that under the Clinton administration, when we got rid of their elected leader. And we crushed their agricultural base. So everyone's got to move to the cities, live in the fucking hovels, get paid nothing. We destroy the fucking basic income laws, or what is the fucking phrase I'm looking for? Minimum income, minimum wage laws. We get rid of those so that they can be paid less than that for big business interests. And then, of course, we open up their markets to our subsidized big agriculture products, which come in there, of course, with their GMOs and all that other shit. It's a nasty, horrible thing. But if you look at it just strictly in terms of making money, it's wonderful if you're someone on the top. If you're one of these people who are politically connected, which is why they pump all this money into all these fucking politicians. They can get something back. It's legalized bribery. It is. And that's what we do. All across the world, all across the globe. That's neoliberal economic ideology. And the IMF, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I wrote about this, came out and said, you know what? Neoliberalism doesn't seem to work. It's actually widening the gap between the middle class and the very rich and the very poor and the middle class. It's making things worse on 99% of the people in the fucking countries where we impose neoliberal economic ideology, including austerity measures and all these things. They admitted it. It got a little bit of press, a little bit of talk. It was a blip on the fucking historical radar screen from the fucking mainstream media for a second and then gone. And to this day, they still force austerity measures and structural reforms when they give some country a loan. Okay? IMF, World Bank, they're all in on it together because they're all pushing the same economic ideology. They're all zealots for it. Why? Because it does exactly what the IMF said it was doing. That's what it's designed to do. Now, the problem is, it's based on, you can make a bunch of money when you get a new country. They really want Russia to regime change Russia. It's a big target. It's a big country. They got all kinds of plans, but they're not going to get it. So what do? They're feeding on themselves. They're feeding on their own fucking, they're snake eating their own fucking tail. They can't keep pumping fucking imaginary money into the system to keep it fucking, it's a pyramid scheme. It's a Ponzi scheme. It can't go on forever. The World Economic Forum's Klaus Schwab wrote his book. And in that book, COVID-19 and the Great Reset, first thing it talks about is the fact that the neoliberal economic structure of today is not going to survive. They're going to come after us with pitchforks and torches. He even mentioned the Yellow Vest movement, the Occupy movement, in the book. So the Fourth Industrial Revolution, the Great Reset, depends on the population beginning to understand the system is collapsing, which is why we have food shortages. They're deliberately doing this, which is why we have prices flying up through the roof. When they want to fucking regime change a country, what do? They make the economy scream. It's that simple. It's old fucking warfare. Kissinger coined that phrase in 1973, talking about Chile, before we regime changed that country and imposed neoliberal economic ideologies and structural reforms, all the same ones I just told you right from there. The miracle of Chile. That is what we fucking did. And that, boys and girls, is what they're doing here. Let's move on to the last part of this thing. It's the 1254 mark. It's almost over. Here's 1250. Close enough. Let's see how he sums up this disinformation on neoliberalism.
And not just in San Francisco, life expectancy, average life expectancy for American-born citizens is down. So if there's any measure of failure, it's that. And the truth is, it doesn't matter what Biden says or any of our political leaders say. You can say whatever you want, but people still live here and they still have eyes to see. And if their lives are getting worse, they know that you're lying. And the beliefs you are selling are hollow. And the core belief is neoliberalism. That's been completely discredited and killed by Joe Biden. If he's achieved anything as president, it's that.
But of course, this is exactly what the World Economic Forum wants. They want to expose a little bit of this so that you know. Now, let's go to, I showed you the long list, but let's go to what I wrote in 2011, February 2011. Neoliberalism of America accelerating under fascist Obama. Years ago, I wrote about the miracle of Chile being brought to America. This is a process where business elites and the Wall Street bankers use their connections in D.C. to impose laissez-faire economic policies of Milton Friedman on the working classes and the poor of America so they can funnel yet even more money upward to themselves through extreme privatization, deregulation, and an absolute free market ideology that is anything but an actual free market. In its purest application, like we've seen in places in Iraq, Yemen, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and others, neoliberalism is the blending of the corporation and the state, what Mussolini called fascism. Certain large corporations like GE and financial institutions, Goldman Sachs, are favored and brought into the government process. Big government becomes the stated enemy, while services and institutions are divided up, sold off, and businesses allowed a free hand in both private and once public affairs. Under the Obama administration, this process is kicking into high gear. We still have Goldman Sachs running Treasury, and he even brought in CEOs, GE CEO, to serve as this chief of staff in the White House. There's no question that we are now moving so far to the right in this country that one may soon enough be able to say that we are living under a fascist state. Obama's apologists will continue to try to claim that he is simply moving to the center. I talked about this. These people are either useful idiots or they are complicit, helping provide as much cover as possible for as long as possible till the transition of this country into a pure fascist state is irreversible. A number of these include his talking about the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, the definition of neoliberalism or free trade ideology, but also talking about, I think it's this one, quotes directly from, nope, it's not this one, but it is one of these, Rand Paul. It's probably this one, where I bring in quotes directly from Mussolini. It's one of these. You can go and take a look at them yourself. It's not this one. It's one of these. Explaining what neoliberalism is and what fascism is. I understand this. I'm glad that he's not, like he was for the last 10 years, trying to pretend like it's a political party or political ideology. I'm glad that he's saying it is funneling the wealth up. But what he's not telling you is specifics of what it is, because Fox News wants you to continue to believe the specifics. Because, ladies and gentlemen, though the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab admit all of these major 2,000 corporations which make up the partners of the World Economic Forum and their CEOs and the people who make the most money in the world, and the rise of the billionaire class, the swelling of the billionaire class that has happened in the last 20 years, they'll tell you that they are opposed to neoliberal economic ideology and they need to reform it. That's not what they're doing. They're making it worse. They're going to make it to the point where it is ingrained permanently. It is a permanent structure that can never be removed. They will rewrite the Constitution. We do that in every fucking country we go to. When Morrissey tried to oppose the fucking IMF and put them off and put them off and put them off until the new Constitution was written, and there was a referendum from the people, and they accepted the new Constitution, which included very specific language making things illegal. All of the austerity measures from the fucking reform package that the IMF would force them to do if they took the loan, they couldn't have that. That flipped out Obama and all the fucking neoliberals and all the fucking fascists, and they removed him from office. And they installed somebody who was more on board. He was solid, as Joe Biden talks about. Joe Biden pushing for $4 trillion is not the next FDR. He's the next Pinochet. He's obviously doesn't know where he is, But that's what he is. Barack Obama's the next Pinochet. He was a previous Pinochet in the United States. That's what neoliberalism is. And even the fact that he's not telling you what it is, he's pretending that it's something else, is a bad sign. But understand this. They're going to have to expose a little bit about the term neoliberalism in order to justify a transition. So, if you think about it, he is doing the work of neoliberal oligarchs and neoliberal designers of economic ideologies like the Chicago boys, the ones who plan neoliberal regime changes. He is doing their work for them. He is helping them by telling people, his fans, finally, what neoliberalism really means, and that it's going to be over soon. Well, it is going to be over soon. Something worse is about to take its place. That is the whole point of the Great Reset. So, Tucker Carlson, not doing us a whole lot of good. Like I said before, one of those, if you want to control the opposition, you lead the opposition. If you want to control the opposition, you lead the opposition. Anyway, I thank you for your time. Please go by. If you're not already subscribed, it is free. Like once a week or so, depending on what's going on, the topic that's going on. I've written 2-3 new things since starting this thing up. But usually what I'm doing is I'm just taking my archived stuff and I'm putting it here that is relevant to what I'm talking about in my videos and what's going on in the country. So that's that. You have my Blogspot blog thing here, another freebie blog, but there you go. And of course, you got to help me get to my 370 million subscribers so I can get disgustingly rich. I would be a horrible rich person. I would be terrible. I would be just fucking horrible. I'd be so out of control. MTV would have to follow me around every fucking day and just watch the crazy, stupid shit that I do. And then, of course, I'd be living in a box. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you very much. Have a good Saturday. Bo says bye.